split, it was the Vi though for Leyan, which was picked up by Renata and used to great success. Now, I'm a little bit worried by this because this changes around a little bit of the roles, which we said, which were divvied up in game one. Southwind was part of the pick. Leyan was a bit more of the pinch hitter who was really carrying the fights once that pick had been started. On the other side, Sejuani rarely makes it through in LPL drafts because it allows you to play through double melee top laners and be a real threat on an area of the map, which Sejuani uniquely allows you to play through.
Like the Xayah though, this time around, Light is going to be showing us if he can get ahead again, that he can carry the game. But I'm going to pause because Sssum loves Draven too. He's another Draven player. And so this would just be putting our eyes down to the bottom lane as they do take away the Rakan from the combo of Weibo Gaming. But now, are we going to see Draven again, or are we just going to look at a different lane?
Right, we have the Vi Ahri combination, and you have the Rakan as well. So already, without your top lane and AD carry, you still get to tell the theme of this composition. It is very good at picking off individual targets. The problem is that is into a Xayah, it's pretty hard to pick them off. But if you pick something which is at all exploitable in the mid lane now, you're going to be in for a very difficult sort of conversation. Maybe you lock in something like a Silas or a LeBlanc, which can be a bit more mobile and combo up with the Sejuani quite well in a mid-jungle 2v2. It's not going to be the melee synergy. Xiaohu is going to pick up that LeBlanc champion, which he's had numerous years of performances on, and it is a fairly skill-based matchup in the mid lane to boot.
Excited though, because I think last time I saw Xiaohu and LeBlanc, he hard carried with it. So we're looking at a favorite here in the mid lane, although you don't really associate the champion with him, as now we have to start looking at what goes to the top side. Weibo banning away the Jax from Cube, one of his most played. I wonder if it's just going to be a Cassante blind here, Nymaera, and we get support counter pick for Weibo, or if they put that high value in TheShy and try and set him up with a very strong melee top laner.
Well, because they're banning away the Jax, I don't think they're going to be picking something like the Cannon. Of course, that'll be a ranged kind of top laner as well. You might also go for... I mean, it is TheShy. It could just be Gnar. He's been putting a lot of priority on that. This split, I wonder if Renata, even though it wouldn't be the straight melee synergy, it's only Gnar, which is melee, of course. They might choose to remove that. Sejuani, of course, doesn't need the melee synergy. It's just an option for you. Something like Renekton, also up and available, which is quite hard to dive in a side lane, which is something which Renata are obviously kind of set up to do with their combo so far. There are a number of options. I think you do have to blind pick your... potentially have to blind pick your top laner at this point, if there are any power clicks left. You could also, of course, just counter pick that support. You know the Rakan is coming through. You don't know, weirdly, you don't know the AD carry matchup, which is kind of strange. Normally you have support as your counter pick matchup because it means you can kind of tell the whole identity of the 2v2 before you're putting yourself into it. They have to adjust that support matchup, though. They don't care about the AD carry being locked into it. Disengage, disengage, disengage is the name of the game for Light and Crisp with that combo.
I want to see what Sssum plays, though. It's the last bit of the split. Like, this guy plays Twitch. He plays Neela. He plays Karsa. Anything's possible. He hovered through it all. With Renekton now locked in, Twitch is a very real possibility. And Nymaera, it gets locked in against Xayah. Renata. Yes, please.
This draft is already going really, really weird at this point. You have locked in an awful lot of low-ranged or squishy champions, though, which means this cannon hover could be very valuable, as well as that Mega Gnar. We were wondering whether the Gnar would get removed in the second round of bans. Of course, it was the Leona instead from Renata taken away, which means that TheShy does get to go back towards that Gnar, a champion which he's looked very consistent on, despite it not being the pick which he goes to first and foremost. That has been the Cassante. Renata, if they get ahead in this game, are going to be absolutely explosive with the ways that they can make plays. Vi, Ahri going forward, Twitch following up as well. There's level 1 potential as well, because Twitch can start Q. We'll see if that can maybe upset someone from Weibo if they were to position very poorly. Can't really imagine it'll do much to a LeBlanc. It'll just W away, but watch out for those level 1s. There is the potential for Renata to do something pretty funky in the early game.
Do you know, last split on LGD, the Summoner's Rift in the form of Sssum, and Nymaera is the heavy scaling pick, but it can be built multiple ways. There's already a bit of AP on the team. But I assume we'll just go AD this time around.
Twitch is such a strange champion because he does so much damage in late game. I still struggle to see him as a scaling pick in a lot of games, particularly when there is like a Renata which flies at you. There is a LeBlanc which can pop over a wall and really just remove you from the board. Twitch is one of the most easily assassinatable targets from the AD carry role in the game, and particularly when you don't have something like a Tom Kent or a Braum saving you at that point. don't have really the ability to protect him in that late game. But if he snowballs, if he gets ahead of the game, if he gets to do some different stuff, that's when Twitch can become a real problem. You see it did start with that Q. Maybe wondering if there's going to be a late walk-in from... I've never heard Chinese voice over Twitch before. Good. I'm so glad that despite the language differences across the world, we still have, hello, it's me. We have all of the Twitchisms. Yeah. I love it.
You know, I was trying to listen to the Mandarin and decipher because, you know, I was hiding with, you know, something like, oh, Zhao Shifao, and I'm just like, I guess. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Oh, wait. The Twitch poison. Twitch poison. Need to be careful of that. Okay. That's actually a good point.
It's all right. Venom. Is we Gucci. Leyan, this ain't his first rodeo.
Good. Yeah, stopped auto-attacking. I was sat there, I'm like, where's the observer? Oh, wait, I've done this one before. I play DOT champions occasionally when I'm leashing. So it's not going to be the level 1 red buff steal. That would have been absolutely disastrous. Level 1, of course, in the spot lane. It's not like you got a blitzcrank this time. It's not going to be the same level explosiveness. Renata, strong laning pick. Doesn't necessarily have to worry about Rakan too much either, because your hand to hit level 2 can very easily cancel out the grand entrance. You're just going to throw it at him, drag him either into or out of the fight, and you're very happy beyond that point. So, level 2 hit for them to get control over this wave. Xiaohu in mid lane gets to push in early there. Looks like he distorted the wave and gets a ward onto those Raptors spots out. Leyan reduces his impact on the game. He is heading towards bot lane. I don't know if Weibo expect this.
They don't. They've already done a bit of damage though. Great handshake. Sorry, Nymaera, I'm losing it because Chinese Twitch is just so noisy. He's noisier than the regular one. It's level 2. Let's see what he can do. He's going to go into the ambush as he comes out onto Crisp. Well, ignites down the flashes there. Sssum coming through. Contaminate all. First blood over to the man himself.
Rips out those stacks of the Venom. Twitch has the early kill. We're saying Twitch can struggle a little bit in late game against heavy assassin comps, against the Renata ult, where you just kind of end up, you know, praying across your entire team. Now they have the early kill, can get ahead of that game curve. If this is a one lane for Rare Atom, if they manage to get themselves into a point where this Twitch can get out on the map after getting a lane, then Weibo need to be super worried. We already said they need to be worried after that game 1.
Oh, Cube has to be careful. I think TheShy actually might have this solo killer. Flash away the flash match. Another boomerang. Cube running for his life, but it can turn on a whim. It's watered in there though, so TheShy now has vision. Karsa's coming in. Cube, run, baby, run. As TheShy looks for a turnaround, he's about to go Mega Gnar. Cube will slice away.
Wait, can he get next? Can he get?
Oh, here's Xiaohu. Has he got the flash? Yes, he does. The charm, the chain. Xiaohu's got you, brother. It was a solo kill. TheShy didn't even get an assist.
So it's very important that Xiaohu actually gets that, because it would have been an execute on the turret if he kept running. TheShy had no hop left, he had no flash, he'd used that. Xiaohu, though, gets that kill. And this LeBlanc, who is the other side of this kind of can Twitch ruin the team or get an assassinated coin, has the kill himself. Going back towards this replay towards bot lane, Light and Crisp, they don't get to crash that wave, and Leyan doesn't even need to commit that flash. So much early burst damage out of a Twitch. If you manage to get those 4 stacks of the passive and then put the E through them, Twitch is not necessarily known to be the best laning champion, but if he gets an extended rundown, very high damage in the early game.
I just want to come back and take a point that there was a flash burn by Xiaohu, but also by Cube in the end as well to try and get away. So for Cube, he's now summonerless. He's got teleport available, but rather for this lane, with this massive minion wave pushing up, TheShy might be in a pretty good position here, thanks to Xiaohu also getting the kill. I mean, Nymaera, big wave crashing at the moment, and Cube's just getting zoned off of about half or so of it. We'll clear up the rest in the end. Maybe my point's just mute because Cube was able to clear it out, but
I'm just going to let you talk. I'm just going to let you just see what happens to the wave, and we'll regroup out of that one.
There we go.
I mean, either way, like, the reason why TheShy is in such a good position, hold on to that thought, there's a 4-person roam towards this bot side. It's going to be swallowed out, so actually not going to lead to anything. Karsa is towards this bot side. They see the vision plant, so I think Rare Adam should know that the eyes of Weibo are on bot side. Karsa going to go hop around, vision, not get spotted starting up this dragon at least. Xiaohu has control enough over mid lane to make sure that Strive and Leyan don't get free access into River just yet.
So the sneaky peeky onto Dragon might actually be seen in a moment. There's the engage in bottom lane. Meanwhile, Sssum and Southwind again, but that handshake max range. Light not going to get the root back with the feathers that fly.
No, they still don't see him. They still actually haven't managed to get that far into River. Xiaohu manages to just about manages to stop Leyan and Strive going down towards them. Would have been dangerous, of course. You do have Strive with the first ultimate of the game. Uses that spellbook to switch over to the Ignite. Immediately heads up towards top side. Has those boots for a quicker roam. TheShy doesn't have level 6 yet.
Strive coming in, though. As you said, no level 6, but he's going to go Mega Charm. Misses. Spirit Rush under turret. TheShy getting good damage, but not against Strive. He takes a turret shot, but not too many. Strive will get the kill. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane, again, Chris is going to go into the bailout, but doesn't get bailed out indeed. Southwind now running back. The turret won't save his life. Why? He tried to flash over the wall, but he absolutely ran it.
Oh, taken down by the other half of the Lovers duo. Southwind tries to make a tricky flash. I don't think he lives either way. Not going to lie. I mean, it's not like you've got your Ahri ready to run from mid to help get yourself out of that situation. So Rare Adam had themselves a pretty good early laning phase. Sssum on multiple occasions getting onto max stacks, getting big bursts. Now, they do manage to take down Crisp at this point. Sadly, for Weibo, they don't get themselves that last auto attack before the bailout. Runs the HP bar down, and the less we say about that, the better.
I guess ambitiously trying to get over the wall, but a double's given over to Light. And even though we saw the early contaminate Nymaera, even though we saw Sssum getting ahead, this lane now flips back to the other side because there's a bit of a CS lead. And Light, once again, is in a position of power in this game too. I think it's also important to note that bottom lane for RA now has no summoners.
Yeah, and that means that when Karsa's looking towards Sejuani, who has level 6, and the Observers are playing with, this can happen.
He was not hiding. Handshake, feathers fly, another double. And guess what? RA are in trouble.
Yeah. I was dying, says the Twitch as it goes down for a second time in as many minutes, it feels like. Building up towards the Blade Throwing King does not have that just yet. And on the other side, you have a Cull still ticking down on Xayah. It's not like you've got a Cull to none and a mismatch in that sense. Light's going to get turret plates, has 4 kills, as you've just said. Now, Light, much like that last game, is getting the individual advantage in that AD carry role. But this time, compared to last time, Rare Adam don't have themselves that carry in jungle like the Diego, getting huge amounts of gold to kind of balance that out on the top side of the map.
God, it's just insane though, the lead, isn't it? Let's look again, Nymaera. Karsa's angle was pretty pristine. Assum's just waiting for the wave to crash in.
Yes, because it's not going to crash in at that point. Look at the amount of rage creeps. That's a huge amount of minions. They're sat there knowing that their wave is an absolutely messed up spot. You need Leyan there. You need Strive to roam down. That isn't the case. And despite having a very proactive mid-jungle with their level 6s available in the Vi and the Ahri, Rare Adam haven't been able to take over the mid lane jungle 2v2 and help out the rest of their map, which has allowed Karsa an extra degree of freedom to make sure these big plays in bot lane have gone their way.
Because you did say, I mean, again, the strength of Ahri, Vi, that the mid-jungle 2v2 was where it was at. But Xiaohu was able to roam and get the back end of that kill on Cube. And ever since, even within the lane, there's been a bit of a CS gap. And Xiaohu on this LeBlanc feeling pretty great right now, considering that not only the CS gap, but the earlier kill has meant he should be getting pretty close to his mythic and should beat Strive there at this point as well.
Yeah. And I think that just goes to show how good, one, Xiaohu is on this pick as one of historically his better picks. Maybe not for the last season or two, but he's actually walking up towards this side. He's going towards that Dominus. So what happens in this one?
There is no Mega Gnar available, so we get Micro TheShy before we get Mega Shy. As Cube's just going to walk on up. Good little Ruthless Predator. Leyan spotted on a ward. Good control ward as well. TheShy going to continue autoing away as we bring the camera up here just to see him about to go Mega, but Karsa for the response gank. Assume hating life. Oh, man. Like the rats in Resident Evil right now, he's just getting stabbed. That's all I've been playing, I will say.
So for me, when it comes to that, I was a big player of Vermintide, where there was a whole lot of rat people dying in that one. Hopefully it doesn't get quite to that level of rat purging in this game. I assume we'd love to have a bit more impact in this game. But Weibo, as it stands, I'm just so content to dunk down on this bot lane. As we said, Twitch is a very easily exploitable pick. He dies very quickly when he's not making the plays, when he's not being aggressive. Defensive options for Twitch are not great. The fact that Rare Atom have not been able to shield this bot lane, partly because of Cube getting outvalued in that top side, and Leyan and Strive not being able to get much in mid, means that this is just not going to go well for them.
Rat-a-tat-tat does come through. Southwind's going golden, but a beautiful ulti immediately cleansed out. Assume has quick fingers Now all we need is to contaminate. He flashes over. Lights dead. Sssum. Now he's hiding.
Oh.
But Chris, oh my God. This guy can see the rat future. Chris on Renata. He was one of the first, but he's still one of the best.
The handshake quells the vermin tide, goes forward for another kill, but can't finish off that play to their advantage. Rare Adam, it feels so desperate. They are the ones responding to the plays on the bot side. Strive tries to come in on a good timing, but Leyan's not there, doesn't have his ult. Xiaohu now at this point has flash. His Distort's now down on cooldown.
Good little vault break into the cease and desist charm. Nymaera, the CC lands perfectly, but what? Southwind didn't even want to go over the wall. He just waited for the food to come to him.
Xiaohu, for all that he's played really well in early lane to stop Strive getting out onto the map, can't stop this last series of plays. Getting some value for Rare Atom. Dies in that side lane importantly, which means that he is not around on the bot side of the map to kind of keep hemming in Rare Atom. It means that maybe in the next minute some vision control can be established for them, and that kind of chokehold on the game might lessen somewhat. As you're saying, the Twitch ult comes out, big AoE damage. It's not like they've got themselves a hurricane just yet on the Twitch to kind of get those multiple bolts spraying through the team. Doesn't need it at this point. Light very, very nearly gets away with that one. Crisp has Twitch's number though.
Oh,
this is always going to be very difficult to get out of. That Q is going to run out at some point. That just makes it look even more stylish.
Yeah, Crisp again, just so clean. We're not going to see Xiaohu walk into the fray, but you know, for Weibo, they might find a response, however it was matched. And look, Sssum, who fell behind and lost the turret.
Xiaohu's in this top row.
Now picked up his
Xiaohu's here.
He's in the brush. Xiaohu's there. TheShy flashes away, but Cube's damage is bazonkers. Oh my God! Has to run away. Went to slice and dice up. Doesn't need it. Spinning to winning. Cube finds the kill as TheShy goes down. Karsa getting bullied in his own jungle by Sssum. And Ahri are pouncing again.
Xiaohu's actually in the right place at the right time. The execution just goes awry. Wonder if we'll get a replay of that one. Goes for the double sigil, guaranteed damage, but misses both of his other abilities onto Cube, so that damage doesn't come through. Strive's the one that's hit by Shame. Assumes walking forward again. Does have his ult.
Southwind. Quickness comes through. Crisp in trouble. The ult misses here from Karsa. It's a 2v2, but Sssum makes it into a numbers advantage. Leyan now gets the engage, contaminate, and kill. That's Assum's motto as he picks up his third kill, and Nymaera, RA are doing it again.
They're finding some options in this game, Hysterics, and you're looking at this. Twitch making aggressive plays. That is the difference between what happened in the bot lane when Strive was dying, kind of trying to bail them out. Sssum now being able to make some aggressive plays makes things a little more contentious than Weibo probably should have had any right to expect, given their dominance in the early game. Weibo haven't managed to keep everyone pinned back into their lanes, and a couple of lapses in vision, a couple of awkward moments stood under towers or stood out in the middle of the lane rather than under their towers, is that Rare Atom gets themselves some extra golden pocket to play with.
Okay, so Dragon's not up for a while, but we do have Herald in about 55 seconds, so we'll find out if there's a fight over that. But for now, I'll look at the items getting picked up. Xiaohu with a bit of a lead, but we always knew he'd have one. Strive, however, not too far behind as he's able to pick up a kill too. I look at the top side. TheShy is 0 and 2, and once again, the inconsistent member this split for Weibo, despite having some real pop-off performances, is getting a little bit exposed here by Cube, who has been really solid this game. And even last game, I think we could say the same thing.
Well, I mean, in fairness, TheShy won early lane, and he did force Cube into that first death. So I do feel like TheShy on the Gnar, I think on an individual level, did fine in the early game. It's just not the team or himself, one or the other, not reading the state of the game after things left that early laning phase. Because those two deaths, they feel a bit awkward now. For all the hard work he did earlier, Cube is now a factory. He has played the Rune King. He's going to have himself a Prowler's Claw build probably after this point too. If he ever gets onto even the LeBlanc can get absolutely sliced apart. Never mind the two bot lane members of Weibo. Rare Atom, despite facing some early difficulties, they're now at a point where you've got the Leandries and stopwatch on Strive, very ready to start making aggressive plays, start to get the DOT. Speaking of that, Chris.
Speaking of, yeah, well said. Perfect timing. Chris going to get charmed, but never mind. He doesn't burn anything. Meanwhile, teleport does come through. TheShy's going to go and Mega Gnar into Southwind, who grand entrances over the wall. Sssum is invisible, hiding yet again as Nymaera. I asked if we're going to get a fight around the Herald play. I guess the answer is yes.
So dissing out because I think both teams are very wary of each other. You do have the hostile takeover from Chris, Weibo playing around Vision.
That's epic. Xiaohu gets knocked up. Everyone over the wall to help him out. That's Karsa. Great hostile takeover. Hit 3, but for the time being, Light has to ulti out. Cube was there on the flank. TheShy jumps in towards him, but it's a dangerous angle to play. He's got no Mega Gnar, but he still can't get gap close. The charm connects. He's going to get bailed out, but he's going to die quite quickly on Southwind. He gets bailed out, but then dies anyway. A 2-for-2 so far as the flash from Light is huge on Strive. The feathers fly out of Xiaohu. Can't get the chain follow-up. The charm dodged away. 2-for-2 is where it stays for now, and both teams back off.
And Herald is still alive. It survives this confrontation by somehow, some way. Rare Adam, they're playing around A2. Twitch, they have the Rune on Hurricane at this point, and the Renata ult does not hit him. Xiaohu's trying to play tricky around Vision, but Southwind, once again, actually really has his number. The follow-up from the Renata is only kind of like mitigated by Light is kind of covering the other side of the map. Twitch was not hit by that big Renata ultimate, which meant that Rare Adam had damage to build around that point. Things get a bit awkward after this point at some distances, not quite able to be finished off cleanly. The other TheShy gets himself a bailout, but goes down just after that point. Very close fights. These fights are still going to be very bloody when these ultimates are available.
Leyan and Karsa have no fear about going in. Leyan has just been pummeling some of these single targets while Karsa hasn't been pristine on the ultis, but he's still a massive threat. Sssum running up now.
He's got it again now.
Oh, quickness comes through onto Light. He's caught out, and here's Sssum spotted out the bailout there, and he's contaminated and assassinated. But so is Sssum. Both AD carries have been obliterated. As now for Strive, Frost is there, but Karsa can't get back in range. Instead, pops it late. Instead, Leyan ceases and desists his actions. TheShy says, is it my turn now? But he will not get any more. Leyan stunned up while 4 members chase after Mike Shy. He's got flash, but doesn't want to burn it. Dragon's in front of them, and for the first time this game, RA should be securing this objective.
You can see the Xayah is actually really struggling once we've left this early lane and go into trying to trade off this mid lane wave control kind of setting. This is what bot lanes tend to do. When you lose the first tower in bot lane in either side, bot lanes head towards mid lane. But if Xayah ever over pushes into the Vi, into the huge amount of damage and engage potential coming in from Southwind, and of course this Twitch on Sssum, so dangerous. Light tries to play around the bailout, but doesn't have the damage at this point. The early 2 items from Twitch, again, ahead of the curve of the game, allow him to play like an assassin. Well, Leyan, serious credit to him as well. We talked about how Viego was a big pick for him in that last game, but earlier in the split, it was really the Vi as his calling card. Had some huge moments in that fight.
One of his most played. I mean, again, just the assassination potential's been huge. 2 games in a row, you mentioned Leyan's been really on point. 4-0 and 2, and destroyed with Xiaohu by the end of it. As we come back, and Weibo now positioning up around this non-existent Baron. It's still Shelly for the next 50 seconds or so, so they're going to try and burst this one down while Cube might actually have some solo lane time with this outer turret and get some gold for RA before we get towards Dragon territory again.
Yeah, so we do have Chemtech Rift again. Considering that there's a lot of burst damage that will... We've had that a lot today, and considering that we don't have the most HP builders and a lot of people will kind of 100-0 you, a lot of that Chemtech Soul is going to have its use mitigated. We're going to have bot lane outer turret traded with mid lane outer. Rare Adam, they don't necessarily like that trade, but I don't think they necessarily have a choice. They didn't have the vision control, didn't have the angle into the fight. They're trying to look again to see if they can sneak up on Weibo. It's going to get a second charge rather, on that mid lane in a turret. I'm just kind of like stomaching that trade because they didn't have a better option, I don't think.
But gold is dead even, and you already talked about the AD carry and Light coming out of lane and not doing too much. He's got 2.5 items, but he's got the AD carry that's always been a threat so far, at least coming out of laning phase, has been Sssum. 2.5 items himself. He looks like he's going to be setting up for this third quite shortly. So Sssum kind of getting there while brought out the side lane. Ulti from TheShy, hops, flashes. And needed to, because RA grouped up for 3 and trying to fight a pick again.
This is another way that Rare Adam can play, because if you don't have complete vision control on one side of the map, there's either a Twitch running at you or there's a Vi flying at you with the Ahri in close kind of competition just by. So TheShy, lucky to get away with their life. Very important now that Weibo managed to get some at least scouting wards deeper into the jungle to see which side of the map Rare Adam are looking to position themselves around, which they don't currently have. Yeah, this was it. This is the 3-man combo. They use quite a lot. They use multiple ults to get towards them. See that? There's a huge amount of CC. I'm actually not sure if Renekton got the full stun off onto the Xayah at that point. That could have been the difference between life and death. Maybe the next time if he has a Prowler's Claw, that will be even more so.
Very least though, the flash being away from a Mega Gnar feels like a call that is worth considering as we get towards this next fight. Minute 45 till the next dragon. Could be third here for Weibo if they find their mark on it. For now though, we'll just see how they gear up item-wise, because 3 items for the Xayah. Rapid Fire Cannon now picked up for Light so he can build a bit more space. But we are going to get what looks to be a Ravenous here, or rather, sorry,
Titanic Hydra. You go Titanic Hydra, which splashes over each of those. It splashes across each of your bolts, and when you go towards something like a Shield Bow 4th, because the Mythic passive is Shield Bow gives you extra HP per item you've completed, it then amps up the Titanic Hydra as well. You're harder to kill, you hit very hard with AoE, it means that your 4th item spike gets ridiculous. Heck, even at this point, it wouldn't even be that bad to go for something like a Wit's End or a Flora Malmortis if you really just want the anti-assassination potential. But you're just becoming that harder a threat to deal with in the late game, where we assume that maybe the Twitch would just get assassinated.
I wonder if we get a rat to endorse this deal. There's only one rat in the world that plays this champion to the extent. 3, 4, and 5. I hope it's doing proud. At the very least, I want to say that Sssum has come out of the laning phase much better than expected. Well, for RA, we didn't talk about this team compositionally. Nymaera, the pick potential always going to be there, right? You said it with the 3 champions first picked up, but even with Twitch, before some of these big objectives, RA have the ability to 100-0 someone and just nuke them out of existence.
Yeah, so it really is kind of like Xiaohu being the assassin on one side, and then basically the whole team of Rakan being the assassins on the other side. It's not really that fair when it's a 1v5 in that regard. But Xiaohu, still fairly strong on this LeBlanc, and that Banshee spell allows him to maybe make those line jumps over a wall with a bit more impunity. As it stands though, because this mid lane outer turret is down, that's what Weibo used that last Harrow for, it's harder for Sssum to join those plays. It's harder for Sssum and Southwind to get vision. You can see that there's wards kind of in the middle of mid lane, there's jungle entrances. Means that they have a bit more free reign to go down towards this dragon. Renata is not contesting for this one, instead looking to, again, try and secure vision on an area of the map so they can actually use their composition the way it's meant to be used.
They are teleporting here though. It's on a control ward, so it's seen by Weibo Gaming. It's just Strive moving towards mid as Karsa playing ambitiously with death a little bit, or at least
Sssum wasn't seen going invisible here.
You're right, so he can walk up
they back
mid,
off.
but
They sniff it up. They sniff it up. Yep.
I don't know if that was a pun towards Twitch again, but at least, yeah, they did.
Okay,
they did
a little
him.
bit, but come on, I can't do that for everything. Like, there are some things where it's just, it's an idiom, it's how you say it. Either way, they recognize it's happening. It's a stinky boy, that rat. And means that they do end up kind of like spotting that one out. But they have to be so careful with this vision control. Charm nearly hits. That could have been jungler dead. Could have been a huge play, and here they go.
Quickness comes through. I mean, Light is going to get out, though. That's a big deal as Karsa's absorbing the damage. Sssum has to use the QSS. TheShy running in. He's got no Mega Gnar. He was charmed. He'll be bailed out, saved, but still dying down as a trade. That's a 1-for-1. Now, Sssum picks up the kill, but look at who died on RA. It was Leyan. So Weibo Gaming, if they find another, it could lead to something like the Baron.
Yeah, so that's the smite down for Rare Adam, which means that they can't go across anywhere else. But what this does mean is that, think about a minute ago, Sssum was sat under his inner tower. He couldn't push up anywhere. Even in the 1-for-1, they have the HP and they have the cooldowns to push up and take the mid tower of Weibo. That's actually a pretty good trade for Rare Atom. Now they can maybe, again, start incrementally pushing that vision forwards and stopping Weibo from spotting them out before they make their plays. That's been keeping them in the game so far. Sssum getting extra gold, also kind of terrifying. Weibo, as a result of this, they're not content to just let Rare Adam take these small advantages. They want to go desperate. They want to take Baron.
Look at how far away Leyan is. A lot of damage here with Light, but spotted out with the TP from Cube as well. They've got the summoner. They're going to leave pretty much well alone. Baron resets now too, and Weibo just back off comfortably. While Strive looks for a bit of a pick here. Karsa might give it to him. There's the charm. But no Vault Breaker here from the Vi. Leyan backs off while Cube clears the vision. And we go back to square one. Nymaera, I mean, the biggest thing is that the longer this game goes on, I will say for Weibo, that Xayah doing Baron is going to be huge, but I should also say for RA, you have a Twitch with a bit of a lawnmower build, so I think Assum's going to be that same threat.
And he's starting to build towards his mythic item finally. Remember, he's got 3 items. When he finishes his mythic item, it's going to have 3 extra bump ups in terms of the mini stats you get alongside them. Weibo, you know, you're talking about the Xayah doing damage to Baron. That's very true. They need that damage, though, because they're going to be stuck in the pit on red side. The terrain of the map does not support them at that point. If you are stuck in the pit with Twitch wailing on you, that lawnmower is going to be scything down Weibo members and scything them down to a 0-2, which would be horrible for them. Xiaohu gets the ult out of stride. They don't manage to find a pick with that.
He also gets damage out on Southwind as well. Xiaohu's been real sneaky in the back end. We got one guy playing the rat. We got one guy playing a sneak machine through mid as well. Xiaohu right now seems to be doing so much as Leyan just over the wall to see Karsa. Weibo Gaming collapsing on this with the TheShy coming up as well, but look at Xiaohu run in. I mean, he's
Smoke
been...
and mirrors.
I wouldn't say quiet Nymaera, but Xiaohu's just hitting this point where he is doing so much damage to these core carries.
Yeah, one good LeBlanc combo could turn this game around. We already talked about how Rakan, you know, they're looking for their aggressive moments. If they're losing half HP on one of their initiators, if they lose Renekton.
Cube! He wanted to blind. I don't know why Dragon's not up for a minute 30. He just ran into a trap.
It's a really bad face check. That is really awkward. We already talked about how difficult it is Rakan playing around, lacking vision, getting pushed back. It's maybe a risk they want to go for. Karsa goes for the kill blow.
Karsa with the engage as well onto Sssum. One more for the permafrost for Sssum. Kites it out. Rat-a-tat-tat. How about that? Karsa running for his life. All we need is to contaminate for Sssum. Out of range. TheShy doesn't get him either with the bailout, the flash. Strive has to get out of the charm doesn't connect, and Leyan will not find himself a cease and desist. Instead, Weibo Gaming find themselves a pick and almost blow hell to high heaven.
How the heck do Weibo keep finding themselves in these really strange late game scenarios? They've fought themselves into a point where they're denying Renata some of their options, but it feels like every series Weibo have at least one game go incredibly difficultly late game. Well, Xiaohu, very proficient at playing out those sorts of games. It means that very often he's shot-called his way through historical games to success in these kind of moments, but as it stands right now, you're lacking the tools compared to Sssum, who is just about to hit his 4th item. Hasn't even bothered to stop off for the full boots yet, just going for straight damage, straight items. If you can't get on top of this Twitch, this game is pretty much over in the team fights.
And look, it's a cleanse every time that's been popped out,
They
but
spawn
not
and
late
recalling. They spawn
enough.
and recalling on that wall. I saw Karsa like he has ult. So they're going to know he's reset now. So they don't get a kill off this or something, but they might be able to take a fight or head towards the Baron knowing that Twitch isn't there. He's got himself Kraken Slayer. He is more than ready to pop some heads.
And they're thinking, all right, well, at least he's back away, find an angle, but still it's a little bit slow. Southwind runs away. Karsa thinking about that angle. He's got the Glacial Prison again, but here comes Sssum down the mid lane, now spotted out yet again. After he clears this wave, Chemtech Soul on the horizon for Weibo if they can find it.
They just saw him go invis.
Again, there's the engage. Here comes Sssum out of the invisible into the spray yet again. And he's ready to pray. Look at the range. Rat-a-tat-tat. How about that? Leyan following up. He's already burned the ulti, but for Ahri, they move into river with confidence because Sssum is untouched and living his best life.
Xiaohu has one last chance to make this a game-winning play, but there's so much HP on Sssum from the Titanic, it's very difficult to cut through him. Renata, they might just have done it. This could be the breaking point. They hit the 4 items on their Twitch, they use it as soon as they hit that power spike, and Weibo, for all of their efforts in trying to deny Renata this extended run down mid, they finally give over to Renata. Karsa is still dead. Twitch, with the blade, with the Kraken Slayer, going to do lots of Baron damage himself. This Sejuani's not going to be here for a steal.
I mean, Contamination's going to do so much. The Venom is going to be insane for burning it down. Xiaohu, the hero, light as well. The TP in, but it's slided down. However, the root is massive. The root is massive, I repeat. Chris survives the bailout as well. The all-in from Cube doesn't work out as Xiaohu's blocked here with a Banshee spell. Southwind running for his life. The feathers fly. But so does Southwind. Xiaohu now forcing Southwind into a bad position. The quickness out and run, little rabbit, if you can. But he's taken down at the end of it all. Weibo find 2, but Baron was still picked up by Ahri.
So it's Baron for 2. Weibo managed to stop the worst case scenario coming through, which is clean resets and not being able to get a fight. They see Sssum going invis here, and they still stick around. I really want to know what the shot calling, the communication were around this point, because you know that your front line is hugely separated from the back end of your team. As soon as Sssum starts opening up for that ultimate, spraying across the team, it is so difficult for Weibo to stand and fight. They can't fight into this Twitch if he is auto-attacking. Big mistake for them around a big moment of the game. At least they managed to stop Rakan getting the best possible Baron play.
But look, it's still RA that are doing exactly what they did in the last game. They're just inching ahead little bit by little bit and little fight by fight. Weibo being the ones who've initiated it, find some pickoffs, but they're not killing Sssum. 5, 4, and 6. This guy, I think with his back, that's a full build. What's it like? No, QSS hasn't upgraded the boots, so excuse me.
Actually, sells a Zeal for that.
Ah.
He had a Zeal. He had a Zeal, and he was like, oh, maybe I'll go towards like a Phantom Dancer, get like the extra ability to move backwards. Chooses not to. Chooses to go towards that QSS. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. It means you have double cleanse. It means that if you can kind of alternate between your cleanse and your QSS, if there's a big Renata ult, you are never going to be caught now in these late game scenarios without options. Strive going forward.
Charm not connecting, no Spirit Rush. It's an attempt. We A-ramming again, boys. Gear up. But Xiaohu's angle could be huge. There's a control ward there to spot him out as he all in. The bailout not working out, rather. The hostile takeover was not great. Xiaohu not killing Cube either. Mega Gnar's about to come up, but Crisp's ulti, it looked like a good opportunity. Q on Xiaohu coming in onto Leyan. No root down.
So, that QSS, immediate value, uses it to get out of the Renata ult midway through that fight. Very importantly so. If Twitch gets like 2 or 3 autos across his team, that would have been absolute lights out for that moment. Also, Mikhail's on his support, triple cleanse. Hadn't even recognized that at the time.
Yeah.
Don't really stop to think about second items on support that often, but Southwind, very important one for him in that regard. So, Rare Adam, they walk away with another very close fight, but they don't have to be blowing open these fights. It feels like even when we walk away from the big 5v5s, Rare Adam have either enough cooldowns or enough HP to still be out on the map. Weibo haven't necessarily said the same. And whenever we're fighting in this elongated mid lane, it feels like it's going in Rare Adam's advantage because the Twitch can just run down it with the ambush.
How do you get to him? So far, it's been a big challenge. And now, as you're pointing out, the Bell, the QSS, we do also have Cleanse back up and available as Sssum level 16 on this Twitch. He's also got the Merc Treads. As soon as you find a lockdown on Twitch, he's just not going to stay standing there for long. TheShy stepping up, Sssum sitting outside the turret range, waiting for TheShy to step up, doesn't do so. But as Sssum now becomes visible, they're looking for the inner turret for RA to deny Weibo 5th place. They're fighting for BLG here. They're fighting at the end of the season for BLG to start in round number 3. Weibo need a single game win, and right now it's looking so hard against RA, who continue to A-ram up.
TheShy trying to position forward, has his own 3 items now. He has a Thorn Mail. Maybe that can be something which can hurt Sssum a little more. Karsa trying to play frontline as well, but these frontliners, they are nothing before this Twitch. TheShy's not caught.
They got TheShy. He's gone into mini now. He hops away though. Timing not great. The hostile takeover is good though. It gets Southwind and Strive on the back end too. Now for Sssum. He was frontlining. Down goes the rat. The Black Plague is all gone. As Weibo Gaming cleanse the town. A triple over to Xiaohu. And just like that, we go from rat-a-tat-tat to back at it for Weibo Gaming.
Elation for Weibo, and honestly, desolation for not just Rare Adam, but for BLG. With death timers like this, with late game champions like this, with all of their full builds, this should be at least the first game going the way of Weibo, and that's all they need. They only needed to pick up one Nexus. They're barreling down towards it.
A single Nexus. The timer on Southwind has got to come up, but Sssum won't be there. TheShy jumps in and Southwind tries with his heart out to keep the game going, but Weibo Gaming have done it. They will secure 4th place in the split. They will secure the 3rd round start. And for WBG, that means only one BO5 to get themselves into double elimination.
One step closer to the Guardian Angel of that double elimination, which would be, of course, very, very valued for any of the teams going later into those playoffs. If you finish top 2, of course, you immediately get seeded into those, but top 4 is by no means a poor performance from this spring split. Weibo, blink and you missed it in that game. They were pretty much behind for as soon as that Twitch left laning phase. That was a very strange game to kind of play out in terms of the mid and late game. And as we said, it feels like in every series that Weibo play, they have at least one of these games where they go stupidly late game, but they have a lot of experience on this roster. Despite them not always having the best inhibitions in mid game to call off some of these fights, when it hits super late game, you can see that experience shine through.
Again, it's players like Xiaohu, I think, really influential. Quadra kill by the end as well. Light had a really good start to the game, and some of those fights was hugely influential. But even Crisp, the hostile takeover, I think won them the game. I think the bailouts also gave competition towards RA. Crisp on this Renata, it was even the flash handshakes earlier in the game against Sssum that Crisp really stood out. So I want to give a massive shout out to this support who has kind of been the linchpin in some of the games, who has been really solid alongside Light this split as some of the best parts about this Weibo Gaming roster.
Yeah, now, earlier in the day, we were getting just a little bit salty that Xiaohu support didn't get his own MVPs from earlier in the day. I think in this game, though, I can't give it to anyone but Xiaohu in my own eyes. That LeBlanc was the real kind of like X factor in terms of, was the damage being landed on someone like Southwind? Was it being able to get on top of someone like that Twitch in the important moments? And actually, when it eventually came round to it, Xiaohu, despite that damage not really popping off in terms of the actual damage graph, did those damage amounts in the correct moments to the correct people.
I can't believe the damage. Look at Sssum, almost 40,000 though. Let's be real. This Twitch had a lot of impact, and it's really nice to see Sssum bring this out. And frankly, that game could have gone either way. There were a lot of moments, despite the gold lead throughout the majority, a lot of moments where RA looked in control, and props to Leyan, to Sssum, and even to Southwind. Some of the pickoffs were great. 46% of his team's damage. Hot damn.
Oh my word. Yeah, that's Twitch gameplay for you. Yep. It wasn't really, I mean, and when you think of how the fights went out, it really was just a single kill. It wasn't like Ahri resets coming through. It wasn't Renekton stood in the middle of 3 people and walking away with a triple kill or something like that. It was Twitch opening up and everyone running away by the time he was opening up. And that was kind of the only, It was just one straggler being caught up, which meant that it really was just Twitch doing damage, because that's the way that the fights were going to end if Twitch started getting that kind of participation in it. So really, I suppose a bit of a sad game there for Rare Adam. It felt like they were in control of it. Really, that last team fight where Sssum was, just a little out of position, couldn't really stand behind his teammates, gets separated out and killed down. That was the difference maker in the late game.
And again, we look at RA with bated breath because they've shown us a lot in this series so far, but not enough to win a second game as Weibo locked themselves into 4th place here at the end of the split. We've got one game to cap it all off. One game that, ladies and gentlemen, it won't have any meaning, but it is a great way to finish off the split at the very least.